Oh, I love the play calling. I thought the execution was pretty bad. You know, we got to look in the mirror and play better on offense, because that's not.
Following the Pittsburgh Steelers' 27-20 victory over the Indianapolis Colts, Aaron Rodgers' words cut through the post-game atmosphere with startling directness. The veteran quarterback called the offensive performance pretty ugly and declared the execution pretty bad despite the win. This was not celebration. This was confrontation with reality.
Defense played incredible, and we got to put game like that. We got to put 35-42 on the board and close the game out. So, good tape for.
Rodgers expressed frustration that the offense managed only 27 points despite the defense creating 6 turnovers. In a game like that, we got to put 35 or 42 on the board and close the game out, he stated. The comment reflected the veteran's understanding that dominant defensive performances require corresponding offensive production to fully capitalize on turnover-created opportunities. The defense provided short fields throughout the game, yet the offense failed to convert those advantages into overwhelming point totals. The Indianapolis Colts entered the game with a 7-1 record and the top-ranked offense in the NFL. Indianapolis averaged 33.8 points per game and 385.3 total yards per contest entering Week 9. Running back Jonathan Taylor led the league with 850 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns before kickoff. The Steelers' defense held Taylor to 45 yards on 14 carries, a season-low performance for the league's leading rusher. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones completed 31 of 50 passes for 342 yards with 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. However, Jones threw 3 interceptions and fumbled twice, matching his season interception total in a single game. The turnovers doomed Indianapolis despite accumulating 368 total yards. Outside linebacker T.J. Watt recorded a crucial second-quarter strip sack that shifted momentum decisively toward Pittsburgh. The Steelers' defense entered the game ranked 30th in total yards allowed and 22nd in points allowed. Pittsburgh had surrendered 30-plus points and 450-plus yards in consecutive losses to Cincinnati and Green Bay before the Indianapolis matchup. The defensive turnaround represented a complete reversal from the previous 2 weeks' performances. Linebacker Peyton Wilson intercepted Jones twice, while cornerback Joey Porter Jr. added another interception. Rodgers acknowledged the defensive resurgence in nearly every answer during his press conference. "Our defense played incredible after getting blasted for the past week," he repeated multiple times. The quarterback recognized that media criticism of the defense following back-to-back poor performances motivated the unit. Rodgers referenced the players having a little red ass about what's been going on as motivation for their dominant showing. Safety Kyle Duggar made his Steelers debut after being acquired in a trade with the New England Patriots on November 1st. Duggar started the game 3 days after joining the team and recorded 4 tackles. Head coach Mike Tomlin awarded Duggar a game ball for his immediate contribution. The Steelers played without 3 of their top 4 safeties on the depth chart due to injuries, making Duggar's performance critical to the defensive success. The rushing attack's failure particularly concerned Rodgers when evaluating offensive execution. Pittsburgh averaged 94.3 rushing yards per game entering Week 9, ranking 25th in the NFL. The 38 total rushing yards against Indianapolis fell far below even that modest standard. Rodgers included the run game, specifically when identifying phases that required improvement alongside his own play, and the receivers catching the football. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Indianapolis Colts 27-20 in Week 9 of the 2025 NFL season at Acrisure Stadium. The victory improved Pittsburgh's record to 5-3 and snapped a 2-game losing streak. However, quarterback Aaron Rodgers delivered brutally honest criticism of the offense immediately following the game. His assessment shocked observers who expected celebration after defeating the team with the best record in the AFC. Rodgers completed 25 of 35 passes for 203 yards and 1 touchdown without throwing an interception. The Steelers' offense totaled just 225 yards against Indianapolis. Pittsburgh managed only 38 rushing yards on 23 carries, averaging 1.7 yards per attempt. The anemic ground game represented one of the worst rushing performances in recent franchise history. Jaylen Warren led the Steelers with 31 yards on 16 carries despite scoring 2 touchdowns. "I love the play calling," Rodgers said via the team's website post-game. "I thought the execution was pretty bad. We got to look in the mirror and play better on offense, because that's not good enough." The statement placed responsibility squarely on the players rather than the coaching staff. Rodgers made clear that offensive coordinator Arthur Smith called an effective game, but the execution failed to match the quality of the play design. The quarterback expanded on his criticism during the press conference. "We started off pretty slow. It was pretty ugly on offense for a decent part of the day. Had a lot of chances, but our defense played incredible, especially after getting blasted for the last week. Really proud of them." Rodgers repeatedly praised the defense while maintaining his critical stance toward offensive performance. The defense forced 6 turnovers, including 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles recovered. Pittsburgh finished 3 of 6 in the red zone after entering the game, converting nearly 75% of red zone opportunities into touchdowns. The failed red zone efficiency frustrated Rodgers, who understood that superior field position from turnovers should have produced more points. 1 additional touchdown instead of a field goal would have made the final score more reflective of the defensive dominance displayed throughout the contest. The Steelers punted on their first 2 drives of the game. Pittsburgh turned the ball over on downs after recovering a Colts punt deep in opposing territory, failing to capitalize on exceptional field position. The slow start set the tone for an offense that never found consistent rhythm despite multiple opportunities created by the defense. Wide receiver Roman Wilson fumbled late in the game, giving Indianapolis one final chance to make the score competitive. Rodgers threw 17 touchdown passes through 9 games of the 2025 season, more than any Steelers quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired after 2021. The offensive production represented significant improvement from recent years, when Pittsburgh struggled to generate consistent scoring. However, Rodgers demanded more from himself and his teammates despite the statistical progress. His leadership style emphasized accountability and high standards regardless of win-loss outcomes. The quarterback's criticism contrasted sharply with typical post-game reactions following victories. Most players celebrate wins publicly while reserving criticism for film study sessions. Rodgers chose transparency, making his dissatisfaction with offensive execution a matter of public record. The approach signaled to teammates that winning alone would not satisfy the veteran quarterback's expectations for performance quality. Pittsburgh ranks among the bottom 5 teams in total yards per game, with 288.1 yards through 9 games. The offense generated just 225 yards against Indianapolis, falling short even of the season average. Rodgers understood that defensive dominance masked offensive deficiencies that would prove costly against better teams. Future opponents would not provide 6 turnovers and short fields to compensate for execution failures. The Steelers lead the AFC North with their 5-3 record despite the offensive struggles. Baltimore entered Week 10 with a 6-2 record, trailing Pittsburgh by 1 game in the division standings. The competitive nature of the division race left no room for complacency about offensive performance. Rodgers recognized that Pittsburgh must improve execution to maintain the division lead through the season's second half. Tomlin acknowledged the offensive struggles while praising the defense. "We were running on the beach offensively. We needed a short field," the head coach stated. The comment aligned with Rodgers' assessment that the offense failed to meet expectations despite the favorable circumstances created by defensive turnovers. Both the quarterback and head coach understood the victory came despite offensive performance rather than because of it.
I've known Ben for years and years and years, going back to, the early Tahoe days, and he was picked in the draft before me.
No one expected this from a 41-year-old quarterback. Wearing the black and gold, Aaron Rodgers stunned fans after leading the Steelers to a 27-20 upset over the Colts. But his post-game words weren't about stats. They were about legacy. Rodgers spoke directly to Ben Roethlisberger, linking Pittsburgh's championship past to a new era that might just be beginning under his command.
But a lot of respect for him and his career, what he accomplished. They won the Super Bowl in his second year? it's pretty.
The four-time MVP acknowledged the weight of wearing the same uniform that Roethlisberger wore for 18 seasons. Roethlisberger retired after the 2021 season with 64,088 passing yards, 418 touchdowns, and 2 Super Bowl championships. His legacy remains the foundation of Pittsburgh's quarterback tradition.
As a fan of the game, because I am, Big Ben moments was a drive in the Super Bowl against Arizona, coming down and hitting Santonio right in the corner of the end zone on a beautiful pass and great toe tap. But I enjoyed watching him play over the years, because he wasn't the fastest guy, but he was hard to take down. He was always swinging that ball.
Rodgers also spoke about his favorite Roethlisberger moment during the post-game interview. One of my favorite Big Ben moments was the drive in the Super Bowl against Arizona, Rodgers recalled, coming down and hitting Santonio in the corner of the end zone on a beautiful pass with a great toe tap. I enjoyed watching him play over the years because he wasn't the fastest guy, but he was hard to take down. The reference was to Super Bowl 43 when Roethlisberger led the Steelers to a 27-23 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. The game-winning touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes with 35 seconds remaining remains one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history. Holmes made the catch in the back corner of the end zone with his toes barely inbounds, securing Pittsburgh's 6th championship. Rodgers and Roethlisberger faced each other 3 times during their careers. Despite the rivalry, both quarterbacks have expressed mutual respect for each other's accomplishments throughout their careers. The victory over Indianapolis followed Rodgers throwing 17 touchdown passes through 9 games of the 2025 season. That total represents more touchdown passes than any Steelers quarterback has thrown in a single season since Roethlisberger retired. The previous high was 20 touchdown passes by Kenny Pickett across the 2023 season. Rodgers is currently on pace to throw approximately 32 touchdown passes, which would shatter Roethlisberger's franchise single-season record of 34 set in 2018. The Steelers will honor Roethlisberger again later in the 2025 season. He and former teammates Joey Porter and Maurkice Pouncey will be inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor on December 14th. The victory improved Pittsburgh's record to 5-3 for the 2025 season. The offensive production represented a marked improvement from recent Steelers history. From 2022 to 2024, Pittsburgh struggled to replace Roethlisberger's production. Quarterbacks Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields all failed to provide sustained success. Mike Tomlin entered his 19th season as Steelers head coach in 2025. His career record stood at 188 and 110-2 entering the season. Tomlin maintained his streak of never posting a losing season, a remarkable achievement that spans his entire tenure since 2007. However, the recent playoff record presents a stark contrast. Pittsburgh has not won a playoff game since the 2016 season when they defeated Kansas City in the divisional round. The defensive performance against Indianapolis provided relief for a unit that faced criticism entering the game. The Colts managed only 20 points despite quarterback Daniel Jones starting for Indianapolis. Pittsburgh's defense recorded 6 turnovers, including 3 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. The dominant defensive showing helped overcome a subpar offensive performance that generated just 225 total yards. Rodgers referenced the defensive effort in his comments about the victory. The defense got the elephant off their back, according to the veteran quarterback. The statement referred to recent struggles in losses to Cincinnati and Green Bay, where the Steelers allowed a combined 70 points across 2 weeks. The 6 turnovers against Indianapolis represented the most takeaways by Pittsburgh's defense in a single game since 2019. New acquisition Kyle Duggar made an immediate impact in his Steelers debut. The safety, obtained from the New England Patriots in a trade deadline deal, recorded 7 tackles and 1 pass breakup. Duggar had accumulated 376 tackles, 8 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles across 5 seasons in New England. His arrival addressed a specific need in Pittsburgh's defensive backfield that struggled against passing attacks. Roethlisberger's presence at the game connected the current roster to Pittsburgh's championship heritage. The 2005 team finished 11-5 in the regular season before winning 3 road playoff games. Pittsburgh defeated Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Denver before capturing Super Bowl 40 with a 21-10 victory over Seattle. Roethlisberger, a rookie that season, threw